Tune in to watch our communities grow. See how our citizens, local governments, small businesses, schools, and our local sports teams are coming together and partnering to make the difference. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Difference, a show where the small business owners, community leaders, first responders, veterans, teachers, and all of the outstanding people in our communities can share their stories, experiences, current events, and leadership examples that are having a positive impact in our communities in ways that can make the difference for us all.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Community Difference, where our goal is to fuel the synergy in all aspects of community life. I am your host, Nathan Smith. I am joined by the creator and co-founder, founder, godfather, all the great terms of the Difference radio live streaming podcast, the one, the only Mr. Lyndon Wilson. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Nate?
That was a longer intro for you than last week. I'm going to build on it every week.
Yeah,
So
you can't embarrass me though.
We'll take up like first half of the show. So
yeah,
that's the goal.
First 15 minutes.
Well, we are thrilled as always to be back here for our second show of this series. That, man, we are really excited about the possibilities. Last week we started off with some fantastic guests, Diane Castle from Castle to Castle. Forgive me, what's Jim's last name? I'm drawing a blank. Joe's last name.
Corcoran.
That's why, because I could never say it. He is a phenomenal city councilman from Richardson, I believe the 4th district. So I don't know if he's up for voting today, but today is a great day to vote. Obviously, get out the vote is what they say. We talk about that because as we're growing these shows and we're looking to build, like I mentioned, the synergy, which is just a big word for bringing all the parts together of community life and making the whole greater than the individual parts. And so a big part of that is community leadership, something that we as citizens typically don't spend as much time focused on. You know, we'll go to a school board meeting only when we have something to complain about, or a council meeting or something along those lines. So it's much more important. I tell people this all the time. Your city, your local politics affects you in ways that even the national politics doesn't. So when you have opportunities like today to go out and vote for who you're going to be represented by, whatever party you're for in the larger elections in November, man, take an opportunity to do that. Do a little research, figure out where you're at, and really get involved. Because I was listening to radio on the way over here, coming back from a networking meeting today, and they say that, you know, in these midterm elections, and especially the primaries, your vote counts so much more because less people vote. So you really have the opportunity to make a big impact. I know, Lyndon, I sent you a link. If you are like so many people that I know, and you're like, I have no idea who I'm supposed to vote for, where to vote, or not supposed to vote for, you know what I mean? But what's available, what's on the ballot, ballotpedia.org, great site. Here's the link for it. You can go and type your address. They tell you everything from state, local, legislator for state and local, city council positions, school board positions you probably didn't even know existed, right? All kinds of different things. So you'll know exactly what is available and make your decision that way. I think voting closes at 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. So just something to keep on your radar. Make sure you knock that out here after the show. Not during the show, but after the show for sure.
After the show, yeah. I put that link in the comments too, Nathan.
Okay, awesome.
They'll be able to just click on that. And
somebody on YouTube said they couldn't hear me very well.
Oh, he's good. He's good now. He came back. Bob Wilcox. Thanks for tuning in, Bob. We appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give Bob a free shameless plug. Bob is a new friend of mine from Master Networks group, and Bob sent me these amazing brownies. Now, he sent it to me just to show me how good his brownies were. But Bob runs a company called Wedgegate Design, and they are a phenomenal resource for, I mean, really across the board, businesses, schools. Can you imagine if you got something from your city council telling them thank you for voting for me? That would be awesome. That's just a hint for our leaders in business. But if you want to tell somebody thank you, you want to keep that relationship going, phenomenal guy. I'll get with me to get his contact information, but we're looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better as we build our relationship. But thank you so much to Bob for these delicious brownies. I told him that I was going to give my son one of them because he's just going to take one otherwise, so I might as well just give it to him. He's 2 years old. So anyways, okay, so we've got a lot of awesome guests on the show. Real quick before we get going, Lennon, let's talk about, because this is a relatively new show on The Difference. So I want to talk about, when people hear The Difference, how did that come about? What was your kind of the driving force behind that? And then what has that grown into in terms of the different shows now that are on The Difference, when they are, and then of course this show. And I'll turn it over to you for just a second.
Well, great questions. I started The Difference in 2019. A little bit before that, I was helping real estate agents understand the power of video branding and utilizing social media. We have, with the advancements of technology and how rapidly they are advancing, a lot of people have kind of abandoned the old school ways of the personal meet and greet and getting really to know each other. And I feel like we've gotten away from being relational and kind of gotten into the transactional side. And technology, for some people, it's kind of that great divide, right? The older school people don't want to use technology because they don't want to get away from the personal aspect. The newer generation loves technology because of so many different important and valid reasons. I wanted to be able to incorporate both because I felt like you could. I felt like that you could build brand awareness better, because your whole goal is to let as many people know about you as possible. But then you take the people that you meet through social media and you drill down, you kind of funnel that down, and you start to build your relationships. And so we started this as a class. It turned into a radio show. In 2020, when COVID hit, the radio station shut down. I did not want to stop what we were doing. And so we basically created our own online presence and platform. And, over the years, I guess you can say years, we have, I guess over the last 18 months, almost 1.5 million people have viewed the shows that we've had. We've had over 600 guests come on the shows and talk about themselves and their businesses and how they're working and helping the community.
Man, so you said, so how many? 600 guests?
We've had over 600 guests in 18 months. Yeah.
That is a lot of guests.
Yeah. And people, one of the things that I want to remind people is that it's not enough to be on air. Okay. As you're on air, you want to build that presence. You want to build that brand and become an icon. That's kind of what we're trying to do with the Community Difference, right? Is we're trying to take the people that are having some great impacts and doing some amazing things within the community and let people know about it so that they become more visible, more well-known, the know, like, and trust factor. But at the same time, you've got to be able to leverage that with your relationship. So it's not enough just to be on air. What are you going to do with it once people start recognizing who you are? And so those are the things that we want to be able to do with the Community Difference and helping the businesses and the community be able to unite maybe on a deeper level than what they already are.
Yeah. And so, community, I want to define that because you may say, well, I know what community means. Yeah, you do. But when we think of the whole spectrum of community life, you mentioned small businesses, you mentioned community leaders. Think about first responders, schools, sports teams, and then obviously the citizenry that just lives and works and moves and is almost an organic force within the community. And so, how do we get all those to work together synergistically? And that's the second time I use that word, I know, but I love that word because it's very powerful.
That's a good word.
Thank you. Write that down. It is an SAT word. Do they do SAT still? I'm very out of the loop. I don't know.
Man, you're asking the wrong guy.
Is that a thing? But that's our goal because it's easy, especially in there comes a point where your town, your community grows so big that you're really unable to operate on that level from a community standpoint. You certainly want to do that in your relationships. Case in point, the power of The Difference, right? Mm-hmm. The power of master networks, other networking groups that we're a part of. But if you could do that on a community level, one, you're going to really put your community on the map, but you're going to build those individual relationships. If your businesses are doing business with other businesses, they're getting their supplies, if you've got a business that has a fleet of cars, right, and they're getting fixed and worked on and maintained by a local business mechanic that they built a relationship with, well, you're just keeping dollars and keeping impact and keeping relationship within that community. That's going to help everybody grow and prosper. So that's the that was a accidental shout out to Prosper, Texas as well. have a lot of connections and relationships up in that wonderful community that's just growing like crazy. So what we're doing here now is we work to partner with specific cities. Our goal is to have pretty much a different city every week. So, myself, there's only 4 weeks a month. So I would host 4 shows. And as we grow, there's a lot of opportunities to interact with the difference, whether it be a partnership meaning just ways where we can mutually benefit one another. We're looking at different networking groups, chambers of commerce, nonprofits, things like that from a partnership standpoint. Then, of course, as always, we have show sponsors, station sponsors. Those are, without getting into details, we can certainly provide those. Then we have affiliates, right? Well, what's an affiliate? Well, just somebody that has a connection that brings us to attention things that are going on in the community. Hey, did you hear about this? You should definitely talk about this. You should have this person on. And a lot of times there's crossover in those different roles. And of course, show host, somebody like myself or the 10, 12 other folks that host a show that have a passion for connecting and hopefully do a really good job as we grow our market, we grow our voice, and we grow our brand, if you will. So Lynn and I have been doing a lot of conversation, a lot of talk, a lot of planning about what we believe this show can be. And we're excited to have some great guests on today. We're going to continue this process and then really branch out specifically into our cities as we move into the next weeks and months. So I'll take a moment, Lynn, and I'll let you bring on your guest first.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to say a thing. I'm going to let you do the fantastic introduction.
Well, I want to introduce this lady. She was on a show just a few weeks ago, maybe not even a few weeks ago. And I was really impressed by, her resume, what she's done in her career, what she's doing now, her leadership, talents that she has. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, I'd love for you to be more involved in the difference. And we got to talking and found out that we actually have a mutual friend that I think I mentioned him to you the other day, Ronnie Smith, right? So shout out to Ronnie Smith. If anybody's watching, he is an entertainer, pretty good singer. So anyway, we it's funny when you start talking to people, you start to reveal some connections that you probably have, because honest, as big as the world is, it's still a small place. And we want to target these communities, and we want to be able to bring on the people that know what's going on in the community and can share those stories of people that are being overlooked. So I wanted to bring Ashley on. I'm going to bring her on camera now. Ashley, welcome. She is our newest station sponsor. We're excited to have her. So you're going to be seeing a lot more about Ashley as we move forward. But Ashley, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So first, I'm going to do the same plug. It's smart to vote. All right. So went out and voted this morning, and everyone should. Nathan, you really hit the nail on the head, and I'm going to bring that into why I do what I do. Help people obtain home ownership. It's the largest purchase that just about anybody is going to make in their life. And I take that very seriously. And unfortunately, I think a lot of salespeople that decide their sales are just multiple buckets. Am I going to do roofing? Am I going to go to solar? Am I going to do insurance? And real estate has become one of those as a part of the sales pyramid. Not to say those other trades aren't extraordinarily important, but when you are the difference between somebody building generational wealth for their family, we need to take things just a tad bit more seriously. And so I have been doing this for, I think 17 years now. I own Red Branch Realty with my mother, who became a licensed realtor when I was 15, and I watched her be a rock star. help advocate for her clients and really make a difference. And so, of course, she begged me not to get into real estate and go into some kind of corporate job with stability. So naturally, I disobeyed my mother and got my real estate
stability.
license. Yes, stability. Hey,
Right. I've heard of that. I've heard of that before.
She said, "I'm so glad you disobeyed me just that one time." So we have co-owned Red Branch Realty together for 8 years this past October. And, getting more involved was the other way. And you talked about local politics really impacting our families on such a greater level. Yet all we do is that we have so much voter apathy for local politics. And so, I mean, sometimes races, it's a difference of 90 votes, whether that person is representing your desires in your community, yet we don't show up. And so when I found out that the Real Estate Trade Association was basically one of the most influential and most impactful trade associations when in regards to legislation and what we do in our communities, I said, well, gosh, if somebody's talking on my behalf, I need to get involved. So that's what I did. And in 2018, I just committed myself not only to my business and to my community, but that I was going to find a way to make a difference with realtors and to raise that industry standard again, because what we do is so important. So I will hopefully have the privilege of being president of MetroTex Association of Realtors in 2024. I'm currently the secretary treasurer. I'm a state director for Texas Realtors, and I am the TREPAC chair. So I do all the fundraising for the trade association up here in North Texas to help, legislators get elected that are advocating for individual property owners' rights. So that's what I do, and that's how I try to make a difference within my community and also my real estate community.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this, Ashley. What did you find? So you said, in 2018 you kind of had a shift, and you've been doing real estate all the time, but you had a shift in terms of getting more involved in your community. So what do you mean by that? What did that look like to you? And then part two, how did that make a difference in your business, your exposure, your close, if there's such thing as a closing rate, anything like that? What was the shift, the difference there?
Sure. I think part of it for me is I was, I am a mom. My daughter was much younger at that time. So she was, I think, 3 years old. I was just trying to kind of find my identity back again in my work. And also, so I did a leadership program with our association. I said, that's where I need to start. And I've heard such great things about this program. It's the same one that the different cities have. If you go through, Leadership Plano, and that's where I am. So it's under the same umbrella. And so I was like, this is going to be a great opportunity for me to get to know my community better, and just sharpen my skills. And so that was kind of one thing, but I think so many times, and not just in real estate, in any business, we look at another competitor or colleague as a competitor, that there's not enough business for all of us. And so that's a real big stigma in the real estate community. Well, why would you hang out with other realtors? How is that going to give you more business? Well, I got to tell you, this month alone, I'm working 5 referrals from agents that just don't have the stomach to work this marketplace, and actually referred their clients to me and said, I need your help. So yeah, that's how you can leverage it. But at the same time, I think I just saw what I did that had such an impact. And if I could go out there into the community and I could help, the byproduct is like attracts like, which is why Lyndon and I gravitated towards one another. And it's creating relationships, which then turn into opportunities. So I think it was that we have a finite mindset of, well, this isn't going to give me new business because those aren't potential clients. Those are my competitors. And I switched it around and said, wow, look at all of these extra assets and people now that I can tap on, and colleagues that I can tap on to help me be a better agent, whether it's geographic, competency, whether it's farm and ranch, something else. So my business since 2018, and I'll put it out there, I was doing, I did just about $2 million that year. And if anybody realizes that you can't really pay your light bill in $2 million worth of sales in real estate. And I did 16 by myself last year. 16 million. And so I'm in the top 1% in North Texas Realtors. but I had to start somewhere, and it was changing my mindset and getting back to the basics. So yeah, I mean, it's the byproduct is I get to do some amazing things and help people change their lives. But I also get to change my family's life as well, and it's a win-win all the way around.
That's awesome. Well, we definitely have a lot more questions for you. Want to kind of dive into your wealth of knowledge about that transition and how some more ways that you've not only impacted the community but been impacted by the community. We want to we'll put you on hold for just a second.
Sure.
We'll take a moment to bring in my first guest, Jennifer Conrad. She and I met very recently, actually. But she is really in a kind of a niche market. She's with Fundraising Reimagined, a virtual fundraising platform. I'm going to let her talk about that. But man, when I was thinking about, okay, how many different groups, organizations, nonprofit, schools, politicians, it seems to be our thing for the day. I don't know if they like to be called politicians at the local level. We'll just call them community leaders. It's much nicer stigma. But how many people are in that world that could use something like that? So one, she is a native Canadian. So we still love her. She got here as fast as she could. She has settled down to Dallas and made it her home, the Dallas area. So I'll let her talk about that. But I would like to bring on Jennifer Conrad. Good. It is afternoon. I always forget like what time of day it is. It's very bad. Good afternoon, Jennifer. Glad you are here. I think you're muted, by the way. I don't know if you can unmute. There you go.
Hello.
Well, take a moment. Introduce yourself, talk about how you got involved in kind of your journey into what you do now, the necessity of it. And then I've had a couple of questions for you along the lines of what we're doing with this show. So take it away, Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, Nathan. Just to start, I wanted to just make a comment about, I've met Nathan, you and I guess, probably about a week and a half now, and at a Master Networks event. And each time there was about 40 people in the room. And I felt pulled to you. You've got such a warm, inviting energy that both times you were one of the only people that, I had marked down. I'm like, that's the guy that I have to talk to. So thank you for being amazing. Thank you for.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that very much.
My pleasure, sincerely. It was so nice to be invited onto your call yesterday. Well, I guess when we chatted yesterday. So thank you for that. You did mention I'm a Canadian. I'm also a U.S. citizen and so happy to be here. But my journey into this whole fundraising really started about 20 years ago. My son was he was 5 and wanted to play club hockey. I didn't even know what community sports were. I was raised in a really poor family and we didn't really get to do those extracurriculars. So it was kind of sideswiped when my son wanted to play hockey, and we got there and they were like, hey, club fees are $500. And I was still in college and I was like, well, I guess maybe you can play next year. And somebody actually stepped up. There was some kind of program. I don't remember the exact details, but he received a subsidy for his club fees. And I made a commitment to myself at that time that I was going to find a way to be the person that provided the subsidies rather than the person that needed it. So this concept kind of, started, Mike's going to be 25, or he is 25. I guess he's almost 26. So it's been brewing for a long time. And the fundraising company, he ended up playing competitive hockey in Canada, AAA hockey, and was a goalie. So he played winter hockey and spring hockey. He loved it so much. So we were at the arena 49 weeks of the year, and we were just constantly fundraising. He was on one of the best teams. So every year it was inevitable that we went and did tournaments at the end of the year. So we knew that fundraising was just something we could not get away from. And the whole process really didn't evolve at all, right? We were still like every year it was like popcorn or frozen pizzas or wrapping paper or, bed sheets came out. And that was a really exciting time for everybody because it hadn't ever been around, or, scratch offs or gift cards for grocery stores and things like that. And it was just getting really dry. There was a lot of work for the parents up front for not really, the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze, I guess, when I took into account the amount of time that the parents had to put into, or chasing people down and finding people to buy the stuff. And then, at the end of the campaign, somebody's got to gather all that stuff and separate it per player. And then the team manager has to chase everybody around. And then as a mom, I get a box with like 40 orders of wrapping paper that just roll around in my trunk for 3 months until I get back to all those people. Right. So I knew that the process it just hadn't evolved and it was kind of just stuck. So I started looking for a company that might, at least like direct ship or take payments online or something, and really couldn't find anything like that. So I ended up just creating one, and we ran really successfully. The platform is a virtual platform, so everything from every part of the process is 100% virtual. I set everything up. I've integrated distribution systems and all that kind of stuff, so you don't have to lift a single product, piece of paper, any money, which is really cool. It frees up your time, really reclaiming your weekends and your wallets. So it's still proprietary. We ran up in Canada, and then COVID kicked us out for a couple of years. So just launching down in the States here, and the website's kind of a work in progress. So be gentle and come back often if you're on my site. But it's important to me to have a charity aspect in everything that I do. I've been very blessed in my life to be able to have some pretty cool experiences and to be able to give back. And it's really important to me to to be able to give back to the community in however I can. So anytime, I'm at an event or I always try to incorporate that charity aspect to it. It's super important to my heart. My heart lives with schools and sports so that all kids can play, but really the platform, like you said, does work for everything.
That's awesome. So a couple of things before I ask you a serious question. One, I just laughed in my mind with the 40 rolls of wrapping paper. She became a wrapping paper salesperson without even really signing up for it. I remember, I think back to my parents, the kind of stuff that they had to go with all of our youth sporting events and all that stuff. My second question is, have you become a Dallas Stars fan since you've moved down here?
Yeah, you know what? I am learning all about football, and I don't know everything, and I don't know all the players and all their history and stats and stuff like that, but I am learning, absolutely.
Okay, so you're learning football, and you're obviously good at hockey. Well, I don't know if you play hockey, but you understand hockey. Okay.
I'm good at understanding hockey for sure. Not so good at hockey itself.
So now, where does your son live?
He lives up in Kelowna, so like Seattle, but 5 hours north, or Spokane, pardon me.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, because hockey is the big thing in Canada. They do have football, but nobody really cares about Canadian football. I don't think. Could be wrong, but on a more serious note, tell me, because we talked about this before the show, where are some areas or in the community, whether it be local leadership or certain businesses even, that could use what you do but may not realize that it's an option or an opportunity? Talk about that for just a moment, if you can.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. Thank you. So a lot of people that I'm talking to right now are like booster clubs and school administrators, even parents or coaches of teams. The feedback that I'm getting is that it's such a different campaign from anything that they've seen out there, and it's so easy. People are like, is this for, like, really, it's this simple? So I love what Ashley said, just taking it back to the basics, keeping things really, really simple. And, that's been my mindset as well. I was in the trenches with those parents and, causes, and I sat on a lot of boards. I tended to do like galas and things like that. And so I was always playing a part of donor relations and fundraising development and stuff. And I know how hard it is to accomplish some of those goals and just how exhausting it is. So, causes aside from sports and schools, causes that are looking to get the word out and looking to, raise some money, whether it's, like you said, the community leaders or, 501c3 charities for, helping families out of domestic violence, or, animal shelters or food banks, or really, really anything like that. My platform runs really well when a bunch of people go out and share the excitement with their networks. So, usually any group of people working towards a common goal. I don't take what's it called, like an administrative percentage off the top. So 100% of the proceeds, the difference between the wholesale cost and the retail cost of the products on my site, I give 100% of that to the causes. So it works out being, kind of roughly 40%. And so, with teams and stuff, sports teams, we're able to raise like $10,000 in a 2-week time frame with, 15 to 20 families on the team. So it happens really fast, and there's just a lot of revenue that can be built.
That's awesome. Well, I got a ton more questions for you. We're going to grab a quick commercial, then we'll introduce our next guest, and we'll be back for the second half of the show.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses: real property management focus, the choice to make when you want to feel confident and secure in knowing that your investment is earning the profit it deserves. The Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance. Platinum Eagle Insurance, providing the widest range of insurance options to make insurance easy and seamless. WeatherTech General Contracting, we make your home renovation dreams a reality. Lender's Choice Credit Solutions, utilizing our attorney-backed processes and only charging clients if and when results are obtained. This is how we have made the difference for over 10,000 clients and counting. And by Power on Utilities Concierge, your one-stop shop for all of your home's essential services.
Welcome back to the Community Difference. Thank you, of course, to all of our sponsors. We are oh, that was like a super hard stop. That was like very abrupt. No, I don't feel like I got shot or something. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We are growing our sponsor list like rapidly. I have to comment before somebody in the comments talked about the Grey Cup. I guess is the Super Bowl of Canada, which I did know. So that's okay, JR. I didn't mean to offend your Canadian football sensibilities. Please forgive me. In fairness, Warren Moon made probably half of his Hall of Fame career was in Canada. So we do have to shout out to Canadian football. My mistake. Anyways, did you think we'd be talking about Canadian football today, Lyndon? I didn't see that coming, but
No.
Thank you to our guests for the first half. We're going to bring you ladies back in here in just a few minutes, but I want to introduce our next guest, another recent friend. Man, one of the things that I love, one of my passions is just meeting people, connecting with people. You know, how can I help you? What do you need in life? Where are you at? What are you doing? You know, those type of relationships. And I encourage you to ask those things. You know, one of the things we learn in our networking group is just how to be a giver, right? It's in the business world, there's so much taking, right? And it ends up being selfish, but it's not out of selfish motives. It's usually just people think that's how they're supposed to work. They think that's how you network. And so being able to learn that if you're a giver, if you're looking at how you can help someone else, you're going to find those referrals. You're going to find those connections. You're going to find the things that you need when you seek to give first. And I think it's an interesting lesson because you start seeing things that you would have never seen before, connections that you would have never made before if you didn't approach it from that perspective. So
Nathan, real quick, I want to piggyback on that because you're right. And one of the things that when we were working and creating the difference before, and part of what I was doing with the video branding is kind of echoing what you were saying there. And you see so many entrepreneurs that are, well, you see the highlights on social media, but if you get to know them pretty good, there's challenges for everybody, right? There's some, COVID, especially with COVID. One of the things that I've observed over the years is that the ones that are the givers seem to be the happiest, because the one thing about it, you can control what you give. You can't control what you get. And so if you're always expecting something from someone, you might end the day disappointed. And you put a couple of those together and it kind of gets frustrating. But if your true focus is being that genuine, authentic person that's trying to help someone else, and this is kind of what we were talking about before at the beginning of the show. I hope that everybody, whether you're someone that lives in the community, you're a political leader in the community, or you are a business leader in the community, I hope that we all start to understand the value and the power in being a brand ambassador for the people you develop relationships with. And that is what can really propel someone to the next level. If we're all helping each other, I may not be able to, Nathan, you may sell something that just doesn't fit for me, right? I may not be able to support you monetarily, but I can support you through social media and the different platforms by telling everybody about you, why you do what you do, and how great you are at it. And if we can start doing that within our communities, whether it's the political leadership, whether it's a business leadership, or whether it's the leadership in our school districts and our churches, whatever it may be, that's what will strengthen the community, unite the community, and then we can make the bigger changes on a more national level.
100%. And speaking of somebody that is really making a community mark, a community impact, especially in the lives of young people. Our next guest, I want to bring on Terence. If you can just throw him up on the screen here. Terence, how you doing, brother? And we get Terence is your I guess program director is your title, but for the Alliance of Elite Youth Leadership, so a nonprofit group, and he when somebody tries to explain something to you, right, you're like, you better explain it because you're much better at it. And so I wanted to bring him on because a big part of what we do, man, nonprofits are a huge part of our community. They really, already have a connection with what Jennifer does, and just our community as a whole. And so I'm gonna take didn't know that we got his brother and his brother's wife on the show too. So it's like bonus. We got 3 for the price of 1, which was free. We didn't pay anything. Sorry, Terrence. Talk about do you guys call it AEYL? Is that what you call it for short?
Yeah. So we just the acronym, speed it up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like thinking, man, it's gonna take a long time to get this out. So talk about that. What your vision is for the community. I know you guys are up in McKinney. How it got started, what the goals are, some of the things that have been happening, and then there's a specific event that I'm going to keep hidden here for a few minutes that I'm going to ask Terence to talk about coming up here, I think next month or the month after. But you guys take it away and tell us a little about AEYL.
Well, first, I want to give thank you guys for having us here on the show, and just want to give a round of applause to Lyndon for that word he just gave, because as he was speaking and doing that, man, we almost went back Southern Baptist in here. I mean, that was powerful. So,
hey, feel free to unmute next time. Then go ahead. I mean, we're all for that. So.
Right. But no, my name is my name is Terence Johnson. I'm the program director here at AYL. We've been operating since 2013 in McKinney. Our program is really based on 4 cores: mentorship, community service, academics, and athletics. Our program has grown so much more since then because our services are really molded or geared around our youth. And if you got kids, you know how much they change from one week to the next. So a lot of our services has been molded towards, what keeps our kids interested and what keeps them involved in the community. So I won't give everything away. I'll just let everyone introduce themselves, and they'll give a little bit about the organization as they introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarita Robinson, and I'm the co-founder of AEYL.
Hello, everyone. I'm Derek Robinson, the founder of AEYL. Man, I say, Nathan, you asked some great questions. As Terence, just kind of piggybacking over to Terence, we founded back in 2013, and it was more so based around 12 to 18 years of age. But as we grew out those 4 services, as Terence mentioned, we now have grown out to more so college readiness, workforce placement. We have our apprenticeship programs throughout McKinney and soon to be grown out throughout Collin County, our entrepreneurship programs. And so when Terence kind of mentioned about this opportunity to be on the show with you guys, and I kind of reviewed your last show, and I thought it was a great alignment to the mission and vision of what we believe in with this. So basically meeting with our youth and our young adults, showing them how to thrive, to take advantage of successful opportunities. And so, with that being said, now that we've built out our agencies, and you mentioned relationship building, I think with building out AEYL, it has allowed us to serve on a variety of boards here throughout Collin County and McKinney. I currently serve on the McKinney Chamber of Commerce board. Been asked to run for city council a few times because of so much of an impact we've impacted in our community. It's just been a great opportunity to not just work in McKinney, but also how do we thrive in our business entrepreneurship mindset, not just from a nonprofit, but also running our consulting business as well. So we've been really taking advantage of the relationships we built, and now we get the chance to show our kiddos or our young adults now what does success not only looks like, but how do you position yourself to take advantage of opportunities to kind of be in position to just win here in Collin County. So I'll pass it over to Mrs. Robinson and kind of give you guys a bit more background about other programs we offer.
Sure, and so one of our main focuses is just exposure, providing us exposure to the next generation. Because we've been doing what we do for the past 9-10 years, next year will be our 10th year. So we are very excited about the services that we've been able to provide in the community. We've been able to build those relationships and open up doors for the next generation that will soon be sitting in the seats that we're sitting in. And so with that, one of the highlights of this year is we are going to really hone in and expand on our apprenticeship program, because we have so many business relationships with our connections to our local Chamber of Commerce. We're able to have that that inside connection with these jobs and these career fields that's explorable. And we provide our 10th through 12th graders an opportunity to basically get their feet wet before they explore education and spend money and then get in debt with going to college for something that they probably, might not even do as a career. So that's one great thing that we like
Amen to
about
that.
So true.
the program. And so we're excited about that. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about here soon.
Well,
And
that's
shout
really
out to J.R. Houston right there.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Man, he knows everybody. Why isn't he on the show? J.R. Houston, you're on the show next week. Contact Lyndon. Yeah. First of all, I didn't know Derek was in Chamber, so I'm thinking of all these opportunities. We definitely need to connect after the show or later this week. On a less serious note, between you and Derek, Terence, who's the better athlete?
That's a great question, Nathan. Way to put somebody on the spot.
Yeah, it depends on what sport. I was football, he was basketball.
Right.
So, yeah, it depends on which athlete you think has the harder sport to play.
Which, you know what?
That was a very
crazy
answer.
Right. And what's crazy, man, when we started out back in 2013, sports was how we reeled them in. We kind of used sports to reel in our youth, but also made sure we had them accountable to show what true integrity and giving back to our community really is. But not only holding them accountable on giving back in the community, but also their academics. It's called student athletes. So we want to make sure that we really challenge them academically as well to push them for their lives. But sports is definitely one of our go-tos.
Well, speaking of sports, speaking of basketball, I know that you guys got an exciting basketball event coming up in April, right? Is it April too?
June 24th.
Oh, that's
July
right.
15th.
Okay, I knew it was a little further out there. But talk about that, how you guys got that, how that came about, and just ways we can get involved, sponsor, connect, just what you guys need as far as that big event, and how we can help.
The tournament was something that we've always wanted to do. McKinney, as you may know, has never held a tournament of this magnitude. And most, as you guys may have attended, most nonprofit organizations, they do galas to fundraise. And we were, our organization is a little unique. I think at some point we will get to doing the gala, but we figured that this was a fun way to get everybody involved and at the same time raise funds for our organization. So right now we're working on this potentially being the third largest sporting event in McKinney outside of the D2 championship and the Bauer Nelson that comes. This basketball tournament will probably be the third largest sporting event in the city of McKinney.
Yes. And to add to that too, I think for us as a whole, we've served on so many boards here, so the lingo kind of switches up a little bit when you talk about bringing in tax revenue into a city. So we kind of looked at it as a great partnership with our city of McKinney. How do we bring in basically a fundraising opportunity, but also tax dollars coming into the city where we can also everybody walk away excited, but also how do we give some of our scorekeepers, which would be high school students, how do we pay our high school students to take score where they still get that quality of life a part of the event? So we really took a step back and made sure we did it the right way. And so when we did come out and present to our sponsors, it made sense of the collaboration and not just being one organization walking away making money, but our entire city made money along with the student body as well.
Yeah, and Lyndon touched on something being transactional. So with this fundraiser, everybody gets something. So even you, the spectator, will pay an entry fee, but you get to see some high quality basketball play going, because these teams, we're going to bring in teams from out of town to play some of the top competition we have in town. So, everybody that has hands-on will have something to receive from this event.
So go ahead. Sorry.
And then the overall approach to raising the funds. So you'll notice that we are a resource center as well. And so one of the things that we have brought to the city of McKinney, we're the only GED testing center authorized by Pearson VU in a 20-mile radius. So we provide that opportunity for McKinney residents and the surrounding residents to be able to have a place to come and take their high school equivalency test because they dropped out of high school for whatever reason, instead of having that burden of having to drive to Denton or Plano to do so. And so it's things like that where we just are so excited to raise money to put back into those types of programs to benefit our community as a whole.
That's awesome. That's very good. So tell me this, because you said one of the largest tournaments, like for people that may not be familiar with the size of these local basketball tournaments, when they bring people in, when they bring teams in from out of town, talk about the size, talk about where these teams are coming from, notable. I think they're coached by some notable people. Am I correct about that? Okay, so you're a little bit you kind of shrunk a little bit, Terence. I can't see as much, but there you go. Talk about that for a moment and what we can expect from a scale standpoint.
I'm the football guy. I'll let Derek touch on it.
Okay, perfect.
Man, that's a great question. So when Terence, we talked about the Byron Nelson golf tournament that will be coming here. We serve on a lot of committees there. You have your deep.
Hold on one second. Because I didn't know, is this the first time the Nelson's been in McKinney?
No.
Oh, sir. This will actually be the second year. I think there's like a 5-year agreement or whatnot, but this is the second year that the Byron Nelson will be hosted. And so
I didn't realize it moved to McKinney, so that's awesome. I knew it moved. Awesome. Okay, I knew it moved. That's a whole other question. So we talk about that later. But thank you.
Maybe Derek can get you some tickets, man.
I would love to, because I got tired of traveling to Las Colinas or wherever it was for so many years.
Las Colinas.
Okay, we'll talk offline about that. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No worries, man. And so for us, we've done, again, 10 years being in this community. We've kind of seen it grow. As Collin County is thriving and growing, as we all know, we wanted to make sure that we pivoted and was in the right position to capitalize on the opportunity. So when we saw that really sports are really thriving out here in McKinney, we saw the low-hanging fruit to really push this basketball classic here in McKinney. So we're expecting about maybe 100 to 150 teams to travel in June. And so we got hotels already reserved, ready to be filled in, and people enjoy the quality of life of not just McKinney, but Collin County. So we're looking at about 150 teams and high quality, top recruits out of Texas will be playing in this tournament to kind of also be able to come back in July and do another tournament here in McKinney. So our goal is to bring some of the top athletes in the Collin County or Texas regional area, and also find a way to take that data and expose them to just ways to still get involved in the community off the basketball court. So it's so much more than us just running a tournament. It's getting the data from the kids and parents and really getting to know them a little bit more in depth and finding ways to make sure they get involved with in their community back where they live at as well.
Well, man, I think that's awesome. I'm just my mind's going like 1,000 miles an hour of things that I want to talk to you about. Linda, you're probably the same way. It's funny because I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was a nonprofit that you guys obviously did fundraising. I didn't mean to bring like an expert fundraiser on at the same time. They just kind of worked out. So I hope y'all kind of caught on to that possibility there. Y'all will do some connecting.
There's that word synergy again, Nathan.
Right.
Synergistically.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Well, we got about 12 minutes left, and I want to kind of bring everybody back in and open it up for a couple things. I'll start with you, Ashley. You talked about the you not being afraid to interact with the realtors. You didn't feel like that was going to affect your business negatively, but only positively. So, with the reach that you have now and the difference, what would you say? What advice would you give to realtors that are in this market that maybe you see things that they're not doing from a networking or relationship building standpoint? Kind of the goals of the different things that we talk about, but that could benefit them as they grow their business, their impact, their brand, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Thanks, Nathan. I'll keep it brief so we can hear from everybody else with the last few minutes going on here. But the biggest thing is that there's power in numbers. And I think your networking and connecting is something that I also have a passion and love to do. And I love what Lyndon was talking about. So many times we have that, again, that finite mindset of, well, I already have an insurance person, so maybe I don't need insurance, but I love Nathan and I would love to continue to connect Nathan with other people. And that's the same thing with real estate. That's the same thing with my clients, always creating an opportunity. Maybe I met somebody and they just bought a home last year, but they had a horrible experience with their realtor. I can still now put these people in my sphere of influence to help them facilitate exemptions, home repairs, making sure, the ice storms. That was one of the things, doing videos last year and saying, hey, it doesn't matter who, share this with anybody, but here's what you need to do to triage, your busted pipes. Here's some, approved contractors and doing different things like that, always providing value to my clients. And I think the byproduct is the business comes from that. So for agents that are out there, don't have a finite mindset. Learn, success leaves clues. So, hitch your wagon to other successful realtors that have been great, not just great producers, but community enthusiasts and somebody who advocates for individual property owners' rights and home ownership. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about as far as this marketplace, that's the thing I get asked every single day is, well, when's the crash going to happen? It's not. And I'm just telling you that right now. North Texas is one of the most affordable major metropolitan areas in all of the United States. Our economy in the state of Texas rivals large nations, and people know that. So they're continuing to move here in droves, and we have not been building enough inventory for going on about 15 years. So the builders really relaxed, stopped building, and that's not going to stop, guys. And so right now it's still finding a way to get people into homes, first-time home buyers that want to build generational wealth for their family. I just helped a 24-year-old woman buy her first condo, and she's the first person in her family to ever own a home. And
Wow.
it's things like that that make it so exciting. I see you clapping over there, Derek, because those are the things I do. I will work with $150,000 condo client. I will work with a $15 million, luxury client, but everybody deserves an advocate and somebody that truly knows how to represent your best interest in this marketplace. So if you don't feel like this is something that you can do right now, find another agent, a good referral partner, but ultimately we hold the livelihoods of people's futures in our hands, and we need to take it more seriously. So align yourself with fantastic professionals and go out there and be a vehicle for change with homeownership and within your community.
Man, that is awesome, and I can see why you and Lyndon connected, because your values from business and community are so aligned, and we talked about that. Just finding those people that you align with, and we're super happy to have you not only as a guest and as a contributor, but also a sponsor on our station. Jennifer, same type of question to you. In the fundraising sphere, what do you think? And you mentioned some of the struggles that you had growing up, with your kids, but take it from like not just sports and schools, but in general. What do you think it is that people don't get, or mistakes that they make when they're trying to fundraise, when they're starting from the beginning, or any point during along the process that you see as detrimental, but that you also have a resolution for?
I have to apologize, Nathan. My internet cut out, and I think I got about every fourth word that you just said.
Is it better now?
It is better. Yeah, much better now. Thank you.
Okay, so what I was saying is that's okay. We've all had internet issues from time to time. What is it that most people, if they're going to start a fundraising project, whether they're schools, athletic teams, anybody from top to bottom, small, big projects, whatever, what do you think some of the mistakes are that people make? And secondly, how are you able to, obviously you talked about your software and what that is, but how do you provide a solution to those specific mistakes?
It's a great question. I don't think that people necessarily make mistakes. I think that it's an education or an awareness thing, that there's not a lot of options out there. The options that are out there, there's a lot of work for not a lot of return is really what I'm hearing as kind of the common theme. So I don't think people are making mistakes. I think that parents and volunteers and stuff don't get paid to fundraise. So I think it's not a priority in their lives. It's kind of an afterthought, a thing that you do like, oh yeah, right, it's 3 days to deadline and I got all these boxes or raffles to sell or whatever it is, so there's certainly no fault to anybody. But I did see that as a major pain point and a major a cause of, I don't want to say failure, but just, I don't know, lackadaisicalness. I don't think that's the word, but I think you know what I mean. Like it's just kind of like
make up words. We make up words on this show.
Yeah,
so
we
that's
create
good.
words on this show.
Yeah, so I'm in good company then. That's wonderful. So I saw those, and having been involved, my son was in hockey, and then my daughter came along and she was in soccer, and she was in dance and stuff. So, we really kind of got inundated from all sides. And, I really found that the campaigns could be more successful because there are people that want to support, but when it's a touch and feel, right? Like I can give you this product, you give me your money. You're really limited in your donor base to the people that are, in a drivable distance, right? And I saw that as another limitation as well. So when I was creating this platform, I really wanted it to be something that could be easy. So we're integrating, replicated landing pages where there's pre-formatted, social posts and product information and, drip campaigns that when someone opts in to be part of the fundraiser, they're communicated with for that 2-week period until they purchase something, right? And it's a drip campaign through text message, through email, however they want to do that, and downloadable graphics that teams or parents or groups can put their logo on and send it out. And we're working with some really cool automation suppliers or providers to help us make that process even cooler, and getting out and getting in front of more people, right? So extending that donor base, I can ship worldwide and I can operate in Canada, I can operate in the States, which is really cool, so nationwide. And so that really expands your donor base. If you've got friends in another, in Australia or London or, really wherever, they can log on and support that campaign as well. So it's helping raise more money, raise more awareness, and really take that burden off your closest friends and neighbors and coworkers that always have to swap popcorn and stuff. No knocks on popcorn. I mean, they're all great products, but I think it's just a little bit tired.
That's one quick question you had pop up here. How long can a fundraising effort last? Ryan asked that question.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Ryan, for the question. They usual campaigns, if there's a trip, for Derek and Terence, these 150 teams that are coming to Dallas for this tournament, there can be a finite amount of time, usually 2 weeks, where they go out and earn money or raise money for these campaigns. I've also been working with companies that just have, an infinite campaign. If they've got recurring needs like women's shelters or, diapers for babies, or we've got some homeschool groups up in Canada that we're working with, and that's an ongoing need. So there is no time limit. It's really set on a one-to-one basis. And we have that conversation when people want to begin campaigns about what their needs are and how to best set that up.
Well, that's awesome. We're coming up against it. Take 1 minute for our AEYL. I guess we'll call it a panel now. And then Lyndon's got one final question. So I don't mean to cut you guys short. Tell me one of the things that the youth that you guys work with, first of all, you talked about some of them didn't have their high school education. You guys get to provide an avenue for that. What do you think in the community that you guys focus on? What do you think is some of the biggest issues that you are able to address that they wouldn't be otherwise have access to or getting? That's probably like a 30-minute question. But just super high level
exposure. Yeah. I think we all agree on exposure. It's just a lack of exposure, and that can go on a variety of scales. I know we got probably 30 seconds here, so just a lack of exposure. So what we try to do as a whole is bridge that gap, whether it's a lack of exposure in workforce, if it's lack of exposure in education, if it's lack of exposure in entrepreneurship, just lack of exposure overall. And so we do a great job here, not just in McKinney, but in Collin County, making sure we have the right services aligning up with our programs to offer those services, and not just to our youth, but also to the parents, making sure that they are acquainted with the right resources as well. So I think Sarita do a great job of, not just doing it for AEYL, but with our, with the consulting business that we own is also the lack of exposure for other businesses as well. So I think when it's all said and done, it's just, I would say, lack of exposure. You guys want to add on to that? Or?
No, I agree.
Well, I know we kind of cut you guys short. So, Linda, why don't you ask your last question to these fine folks, and then we can open up to everyone, however you want to do it, and then we'll close this out.
Well, one thing that I would like to say that I'm just covering what he just said is, we created the difference. One of the things we wanted to do is being an entrepreneur for 30 years. Most businesses and organizations don't struggle or fail because of a bad product or service. They struggle or fail because not enough people knew who they were and what they were doing. And so that's kind of what we're here for. Quick question, quick answer. Sorry. How can a show like this, a series like this, what the project that we're putting together here, how can it help you professionally? And everybody give me a quick answer on that.
Go ahead, Ashley.
All right. I love it, Jennifer. Throw me out into the lion's den. You know what? I've never been speechless, and I'm not going to start now. I think part of it is giving credibility to what I do. And I think so many times it's a lot of mouth service and sales and entrepreneurship, but giving me another platform to cross-validate that I do believe in getting involved in my community. I do believe in battling and advocating on behalf of my clients to, obtain ownership or sell their homes. And so being able to come here with like-minded individuals and talk about why we do what we do, I think is just a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to also get people to understand that you deserve better representation, ask proper questions. And if you don't feel like you're being advocated for or your interests are not put above your realtors, then you need to start asking more questions. So that's it. I am done. Thank you, Jennifer.
I really, Landon, thank you for the question. I really enjoyed the way that you framed that on this podcast and last week. You were talking a lot about the negative media and, the people are just kind of just inundated with negativity and fear mongering and all that kind of stuff. And you were talking about, setting a different example and setting a positive mindset and giving people, good news and something happy to focus on. And that's really the mindset that I replicate in my life and in my business as well, keeping things happy and lighthearted, even when they're serious, right? Really taking it back and kind of just breaking things down to their simplest form and moving forward kind of one step at a time. Sometimes it takes a tremendous amount of courage, but having resources like Thedifference be able to add that positivity and highlight the things that are going right instead of seeing all this stuff that is complete chaos in the world right now. I think you guys are doing a great thing, and it's really exciting to be aligned with you. So I'm looking forward to all of the possibilities in the future with you guys. Keep it up.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. Last word to you guys, our illustrious AEYL panel of experts and leaders.
I think it's pretty much the same answer that Ashley and Jennifer gave. And it's more of spreading the word and not only just being a helpful platform for us as a business or businesses, but because we have the connection within the community, we're able to share and provide a place for people to go and listen in so that they're able to connect with these businesses and resources that they could use for stability in their life as well. So just overall, again, exposure, the word for the day, just expose people to things that they would not necessarily be exposed to with trustworthy relationships.
Well, guys, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Is just this just makes me so excited to meet people, to network, to hear your stories, hear what you're doing in your communities. We couldn't have had a better guest today. I look forward to connecting afterwards with you guys over the next days, weeks, and figure out how we work together. But our time is not only out, but it is over. And if you're going to go long, you might as well have 3 exceptional guests, and we definitely delivered that today for you guys. Thank you to our sponsors, our new sponsors, Ashley Gentry. Go vote! Yes.
Go vote.
I thought she was a Smart Water representative at first. Told us to vote. So get out and vote. Thank you to our guests today. My name is Nathan Smith, host of Community Difference. We will be coming to your city soon. We will see you next week. God bless. Have a good afternoon.
The Difference is made possible by the following small businesses: Real Property Management Focus, The choice to make when you want to feel confident and secure in knowing that your investment is earning the profit it deserves. The Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance. Platinum Eagle Insurance, providing the widest range of insurance options to make insurance easy and seamless. WeatherTech General Contracting, we make your home renovation dreams a reality. Lender's Choice Credit Solutions, utilizing our attorney-backed processes and only charging clients if and when results are obtained. This is how we have made the difference for over 10,000 clients and counting. And by Power on Utilities Concierge, your one-stop shop for all of your home's essential services.